Welcome to a brand new episode of the
Geek Buddies!
Hey! We're coming to you on a Monday because The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1 premiered last night, so we're going to do a review of that on this show. But we're also going to talk about the news that broke this morning that there are some official casting announcements for the new Harry Potter series that's coming up. But let's introduce ourselves. I am John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies.
I am Michael Vogel, writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor. And if you like Pedro Pascal, there is a great movie playing right now called Freaky Tales. If you can go see it in a theater, go see it. It is Scott Pilgrim meets Dope meets Pulp Fiction. It is a delight at the theater.
Wow. Doing your work.
Wow.
Doing the Pedro Pascal work over here. What's that all about?
Me and Pedro. He's taking Nicholas Holt's place.
Oh God.
Me and Pedro down by the schoolyard. I appreciate that. Yeah, but anyway, we got so much to get into here. Well, so much to get into here in terms of the world of geekdom and what have you. But first, we got to start off with this story right off the bat here, and that's the Harry Potter situation. We have got ourselves some official casting news. This was broken on a number of websites this morning here. Max's Harry Potter TV series has officially cast 4 series regulars and 2 recurring roles. Now, there's probably not a lot of surprise because these were rumored, but they weren't officially confirmed until today. So now we do know that John Lithgow, which he had kind of revealed that he was going to be Albus Dumbledore already, is confirmed. Janet McTeer is also confirmed as Minerva McGonagall, Papa Isiudou as Severus Snape, and Nick Frost as Rubius Hagrid. We also have Luke Thallin as Quirinus Quirrell. He's a bit of a new actor, Luke Thallin, so it's going to be interesting to see his role. And Paul Whitehouse, veteran Paul Whitehouse, as Argus Filch, taken over there for the previous actor who played Filch in the Harry Potter film. So, Mike, I'll go to you first. I know a lot of these names we'd already heard already, but a couple of new ones. But what do you think overall now that this is official in terms of the cast, some of the members of the cast here? What are your thoughts?
It's interesting. We've kind of talked about most of these already, and I think across the board we all were like, "Oh yeah, that's good casting. This seems like good casting. We'll see what it's like." I think the only one, and it remains to be seen, and particularly when you put that image up, if you put that image up again, there is this thing where it's like the Severus Snape being cast as an actor of color. I really am curious to see how the rest of this cast works out, because when you just look at this cast as is been announced of the 6 of them, it's 5 very white people and Severus Snape, who's kind of the unsung hero, but for the majority of this series is going to be seen as an antagonist, be seen as a bad guy. And I do wonder, it's one of those things where it's like, if the rest of the Hogwarts cast and the rest of the Hogwarts staff gets cast and we do have a lot more diversity, then we'll see. But Snape as a character is a character who, he gets picked on when he's in school. Right. He hates Harry for most of the series. There's a bunch of, it's just an interesting choice to have this character. I've talked to some people who are Harry Potter fans, who are white, who are Harry Potter fans of color. And it does seem to be like you're stepping into potentially some problematic situations. I think he's an amazing actor. I think he's going to do well by the role, but I'm curious to see what they do with Snape and what the rest of the cast looks like for Hogwarts. That being said, I think this all looks good and interesting. I'm fascinated to see what they do with this series and how they take things that are iconic from the movies and make them different, and how they take the stuff that we didn't get to see in the movies and expand on it. So it's going to be a very interesting experiment.
And what do you think, Shannon, of this cast? I mean, Michael points out Michael makes an interesting point here about so far, Papa is the only actor of color, black actor, who is in this cast, and he plays a very integral part of the series and the show itself. So what are your thoughts on the cast overall and Michael's comments here?
Well, I mean, to the James Potter dynamic that Snape has earlier in life, I hadn't really considered it until Vogel. We were actually talking about it a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh yeah, the optics on that, that might not be great. In terms of them sort of confirming everyone, that does let us know that this is probably happening sooner rather than later.
Oh yeah, supposed to start shooting later this summer. Yeah.
But again, I've said from the beginning, this is something that I just don't care about. I mean, maybe it will change once
Right.
we do start to see some production stills and to see how much they've changed of the world. If they change it at all, I mean, most likely there are going to be some alterations. But I think my interest, I am holding it back because I am a fan of those books. Like, those books were great. I'm not the biggest Potter fan who goes back and reads those books every year, like my sister does. Like, literally every year she reads all 7 books. So I'm curious to see what it looks like, but at this point it's sort of like, okay, so they've officially confirmed it. Like, all right, okay.
like what will be interesting, and we haven't seen them yet, but as is well known in the Potter community, like when they did Harry Potter and the Cursed Child and cast a Black woman as Hermione,
right?
That got a couple people really riled up at the beginning, but it is what it is, and everybody's kind of accepted it. So, like, if Hermione Granger is all of a sudden Black, or if the Weasley family is a Black family, it'll be interesting to see, because they've only honed in on Snape, and that's the one area where they've diverged. And again, that is it's not that it couldn't work completely, but it just adds another layer on top of it that you're going to have to navigate. And I do think if there are some other big casting things coming out soon, and some other major characters on the other side of things are equally diverse or different, that might end up balancing things out. So I am very curious to see how things go with the casting of, like, Harry, Ron, Hermione, Luna, some of the other key, Neville, some of the other key characters on that side of things.
I saw somebody mention that they thought the kid from Adolescence should be looked at for one of the roles. And I thought, wouldn't he be interesting as Lucius? I mean, having that kid as Lucius Malfoy, but he might have aged out of the role. I don't know.
You mean Draco?
Oh, sorry, Draco. Yes, Draco.
No, he means Lucius. It's really interesting. He's going to actually play a father, because he was so good in Adolescence that I think he can play anything. He's Draco's dad.
Yeah, I would put anything past that kid. He was so good. Are you kidding? Come on.
It was a scandal when that kid became a dad.
Adolescence. He got the therapist pregnant in the 3rd episode. But no, I mean, I would absolutely I would love to see what these actors are going to do with these roles, because there's so much talent here, and there's so much awarded talent here. I mean, you look at Lithgow's a 6-time Emmy winner, 2-time Tony Award winner, Olivier winner, BAFTA and Oscar nominee. McTeer is a Tony, Golden Globe, and Olivier and Oscar and Emmy nominee. Isiadu is an Olivier, Emmy, and BAFTA nominee as well. And so there's a lot here. And he's been trained in the Royal Shakespeare Company. He was in I May Destroy You, that series on HBO. He was great in Gangs of London, one of my favorite shows on TV. And so he has a lot of experiences himself. And we know about Nick Frost, and we know and love him. And so he's a great choice for Hagrid. But Michael, you bring up an excellent point. And I was thinking about it as I was looking at the casting list today. I was like, well, are one of the kids going to be a kid of color? Is that the way they're going to go with this? And the thing is, this is art, and we have to remember that. And it's art, and you sometimes creatively you have to take risks. And I don't think the Brits are as hung up with this shit as we are here in the States. And I think they're more open to explore this idea of multiracial casting. Doesn't mean that people don't have issues with it. Of course they do, but I don't think they're as hung up on it. To them, it's about in service of the piece. Does it make sense? And so I think there's an approach here. Now, I don't know how much Warner Brothers is like worried about it or not sure they want to go in that direction, but I'm going to be curious to see who the kids are and who they cast as the kids, and maybe getting this all out of the way now, right off the bat, this idea that it's going to be much more balanced in terms of the ethnic casting. I think it's going to be a good thing to see it and see their interpretation of it. You're modernizing it for a 2025 audience. It isn't just about stroking the hair of the people who enjoyed it generations ago. It's about now trying to get young kids back into it. And so maybe this is their approach to make it more relatable. Do I know it's going to work? I don't, but I understand it if they do go with a much more multiracial or diverse approach to it.
Well, and it's interesting. I mean, like, I was just at Universal last week, and when you walk through the Harry Potter section, like, I think what's interesting about Harry Potter is I agree with you, except I don't think that they're not in the Star Wars issue. Star Wars very clearly has an issue of Star Wars is a 40-year-old dude brand. They're adult. adult men, adult women who grew up with Star Wars, who love Star Wars. Then there's a generation right below them who grew up with the prequels. But there's a younger generation that gives two shits about Star Wars.
Yeah, true.
Like they just don't care.
Yep.
And Harry Potter is different. Like families still read those books. Like families still watch those movies. So very young audiences, like I said, you go to Universal and you see very young kids running around in those robes, waving those wands around. And so for Harry Potter, it's less we need to reintroduce this brand to a new generation, and it's more we need to maintain this brand. We need to keep feeding the machine. They're just opening Epic Universe with the Ministry of Magic ride. So like they've got what Ministry of 1, 2, 3, like they've got like 4 or 5 rides, you know, in multiple parks with the Harry Potter thing. So like they want to keep this brand alive, especially when there's big questions for Warner Brothers around how is DC going to do. Right. They clearly don't do a good job with Looney Tunes. So like this is one of the few IPs that they're like, we got to get this right.
Yeah, and you're right. But having worked in the park as I did in the Harry Potter land for almost 2 years, I saw a lot of young Black wizards, a lot of young Latino wizards, young Asian wizards. So it is a brand that transcends ethnicity. And I think that's an important approach to it, that I think maybe that's an approach they want to take here this time around, because the previous iteration was so lily white, and maybe they want to explore this as a possibility a little bit more. I hear you though, maintaining the brand, especially now when times are so combustible and politically dangerous. And when you've got a DOJ that wants to interrogate ABC and Disney about their DEI policies, does Warner Brothers want to walk into this political fray with their casting? I don't know, but I would appreciate the guts if they did that, because I'd be even more interested to see what they would create. What do you think about this, Shannon? Anything you want to add into that?
Well, I mean, I think they cast Papa because he was the right guy.
I agree. I agree 100%.
I don't think it has anything to do with DEI. I think they want to tell a story, and whatever he is going to bring to this interpretation, that was a choice that aligned with the creators. At the end of the day, I think when a creator is telling a story, I feel like a creator should be able to tell the story that they want to tell, and the way they want to tell it. And he was their choice. So again, for a property that I'm kind of like, meh, I'm like, let them make it the way that they want to make it.
Michael,
but you can't deny the fact that the way that Severus Snape is described in the book is not the way that, like, you're saying he's the guy, and yes, he is the guy they wanted to cast. He might have like fucking nailed his audition, knocked it out of the park, but you are making a choice to say we are casting somebody of a different ethnicity. Like that is a choice that you're making, and that is kind of, we are trying to make this cast look more diverse than the Harry Potter cast traditionally looks, is a choice that some, not me, but some people would say falls into that DEI category. And particularly, particularly, look, I'll tell you right now, because I'm sure we'll be talking about it. If those 3 kids come out, if Harry, Ron, and Hermione come out, and whether they're all white, and then there's one conversation to be had, or whether they're not, and there's another conversation to be had. These are the types of conversations that a certain subsection of social media loves to jump on and say, we're going to go crazy about this, because it's either we're like not opening, to John's point, either we're not opening up the world of Harry Potter to a wider, more diverse audience by keeping it exactly the way it's always been, or we are very specifically making the choice to do that, which then the DEI, the anti-DEI people will jump all over. So but John's right. Like no matter what they do, they are stepping into that territory.
No, I'm not denying that. But when you say it, I said this was not a part of DEI. I think this is, I don't think that was a mandate from the studio that like, hey, Snape's got to be a Black guy. I think that the creators, and I might be wrong here, I think the creators made a choice and the studio said, okay.
Well, yes, this is a bigger conversation that goes beyond Harry Potter, and we got a lot of shit to talk about with cordyceps in Wyoming. But I do think that it's how you define DEI. I'm not defining DEI as there is a department and there was a mandate and they said you have to do this, because that's not actually what DEI departments do. DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion. At its core, it is, hey, this is a concept that says we should include more people.
Right.
And whether you agree with that or don't agree with that, and wherever you fall on that political spectrum, I'm not saying it was DEI and that there was some mandate that somebody said you have to do this, because like I said, that's not actually, as much as certain people on Twitter thinks that's what happens, that's not what happens. It is a creator, to your point, it is a creative team saying, hey, this is a way to be more inclusive. And some people support that and some people don't. And I think the other thing that sometimes happens, and this is where I think they're going to run into maybe some challenges, is a lot of times and I don't think it's on purpose and I don't think it's intentional, the villainous or seemingly villainous in Snape's cases are the ones that end up getting swapped out first and the heroes less so. So like Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, great animated series. I think Coleman Domingo's great, but they did change Norman Osborn, who is not a good guy ultimately. So here we have Harry Potter, and we see the one character that has been changed out so far is Snape, who, yes, I can hear you in the comments. I know that Snape is ultimately a heroic figure, and Harry names his son after Severus and Albus. But for the majority of this series, he is going to be a somewhat antagonistic character. So I think that's just another area that's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out.
That's a great bit of nuance you throw in there, Michael, that I hadn't even considered with the way. Yeah, it's great to swap out to see what a new interpretation of it is. But if you're constantly swapping out and it's the villain or the villain for a majority of the series till that turn happens, are you really doing an effective swap out? Really, is it a gutsy swap out? And so it's a fair criticism to have. But we'll see what the end result is going to be, I'm sure, very soon, and who else is going to fill out the cast. Are we going to get more people of color? Because certainly that's a possibility. If you watch British shows nowadays, they are not as lily white as they were 20 years ago. They are much more diverse, there's much more inclusion. And so I think there's a very real possibility that that's the approach they take overall. And Francesca Gardner is a great showrunner, having worked on Succession. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she creates here.
Yeah, for sure.
Series. And I'm sure the kids will be around the corner. I imagine they'll be announcing that soon, because they've been having these worldwide casting calls for those kids. So. But we are here to talk about also the review for The Last of Us. Season 2, Episode 1 debuted last night. A lot going on as we walk back in to this world of The Last of Us. We find out, this is a spoiler review, by the way, so just a reminder, if you haven't seen it, you don't want anything spoiled, stop now. Thanks for watching. Come on back after you watch it. Or if you don't care and you have seen it, then keep watching, because that's where we're going into. But yes, we see so much happening here in this first episode that's laying the groundwork for this 7-episode second season here. We're in Jackson, Wyoming. It's been 5 years later. Joel and Ellie have a lot of issues going on between them because of the lie that Joel told at the end of season 1. Possibly that is the core of what their issues are. And Ellie, as she's growing up, is sensing that Joel lied to her. So what is that all going to lead to? She has a new partner in crime here. We get Dina introduced to us, Isabella Merced, who does a wonderful job there. The episode starts off with the introduction of Abby with Caitlin Deaver. And we even see that Joel is seeing a therapist, the great Catherine O'Hara, now in another Max series, being a part of this, another series overall. And we see a lot that happens that goes down in the town, including we lead to this dance that happens in the town, where some friction and some violence occurs there. So an interesting first episode for the second season that ends on a very threatening note with those fungi starting to move around in that pipe. So Michael, your thoughts? What did you think of this first episode? What stood out to you? What worked for you? What didn't work for you? What are your thoughts here, man?
Last of Us made me think a lot about the Minecraft movie.
Okay, interesting.
In that, I think that when we take things from different whether you're adapting a comic book or a beloved book series or a video game, there's actually two components to making a good adaptation. One is, are you able to capture exactly what people love about the original, in this case, the game? Like, are you able to capture the game? But on the other hand, are you able to elevate it and bring something new to it? So like Minecraft, given the kids in these theaters throwing popcorn and bringing live chickens, they've definitely they captured the game for the people that love the game. Did they elevate the material? I think most people would say probably not.
Okay.
What Last of Us does, if you've played Last of Us 2, what it does, and it's amazing to watch, is they almost effortlessly take actual sequences from the game, actual things from the game, and just bring them to life right before your eyes.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, they move some things around, they add scenes, they weave in nuance, they add new elements. And so if you are a fan of the game, you're watching this and you're like, yep, I kind of know what's happening. I know where it's going, but there's still new little pieces to it, and things that are expanded upon, characters who are expanded upon. And I just thought it was great. Like, I mean, it's just, I not to dog on some of the other shows that we review on here, but like, I think sometimes, whether it be the Star Wars shows or the Marvel shows, like there's definitely the ones that knock it out of the park and we love it. But sometimes it's like a push and pull inside of you that you love the brand so much that you want to love the show, but maybe the quality of the execution of the show, the writing, the directing, whatever, isn't quite what you want it to be. And Last of Us just blows everything out of the water. Like, it's so, the acting, the writing, the cinematography, every piece of it is so good. So this to me was a great kind of reintroduction back into the world. Although I think where it's going is going to be really upsetting for a lot of people.
What do you think, Shannon, of this opening episode here for season 2?
I mean, to Vogel's point about how the shows that we want to be good so badly sometimes and they don't quite pan out, I think that is the HBO difference. They have been doing prestige TV for a while. They were the ones who broke the mold. Like, they started it. So the fact that this is so good, the fact that even like Peacemaker, when you look at Peacemaker and how it stacks up to some of the shows that we watch on another platform, I think there's a lot of talent in the HBO offices that are able to shepherd these shows, who are able to give the creators the freedom that they need, but also are able to point them in some helpful directions, potentially. The thing that makes the show special is the relationships. Like, do we get some fun, infected action? Absolutely. But the Pedro Pascal and Catherine O'Hara's scene is just as compelling as the scene with Isabella Merced and Bella Ramsey with the infected. I mean, everything in the show just clicks because from the beginning,
literally
we connected. we connected with those characters, and to see that the journey that these two have gone on, like you get that 5 years later that you mentioned, Johnny, and you feel every bit of that evolution that has happened without them having to spell everything out for you. And I think not only is that a testament to Druckmann and Mazin, but I think it's also a testament to the actors and to the folks who work at HBO.
Yes. Yeah, I liked this as a beginning first episode for the second season. It got us back into this area of Jackson. We see Tommy and Maria, they're running things. We touch upon the refugee stuff. You were a refugee, but I can't keep building places. And where have I heard that before? I can't keep building places to put people at. So it's very real world issues. As Michael, you were alluding to, there's real world issues beyond the infected, right? The real of trying to survive. How do you put a society together? You have Dina and Ellie, who are in essence the great friends, but the worst for each other because they encourage each other's worser instincts to go out there and get themselves in danger. Ellie is clearing a lot of guilt, or clearly, in my opinion, clearly carrying a lot of guilt because she's a survivor and she's not going, and when she gets bit, she lives, right? And there is this sense of like everybody she's loved, she's lost. And now she's pushing back on Joel because Joel has lied to her. And so I like that that's an element here. I like that there's more to her rebelliousness beyond her being a teenager. There's more to it here. And that issue has to get resolved. And seeing the scene, as you mentioned, Shannon, with Joel and Gail, where he is about to tell her everything. The acting in close-up from Pedro Pascal in that scene, where he stops him, you see him stop himself and then pull himself back behind that stone wall of his, stand up in a defiant position and say to her, I saved her, and walks out. That is amazing. So you're already in love with the characters and what they're going through. The infected, the evolution of the infected, that's all fine. But it's what's going on between human beings that makes the show hum. And not and HBO, you're right, Shannon. HBO has the magic formula somehow, because even in the one-offs like Lovecraft Country, they're still compelling watches. Watchmen one season, and still a compelling show. And Last of Us works that way. swing it back to you, Michael. What do you think about the evolution of Joel and Ellie's relationship here in this particular episode? Clearly, we see there's a lot of division between them. Joel is holding on to his narrative on the whole thing, trying to maybe forget what he did. But Ellie, clearly, as she's getting older now, is becoming more aware in some subconscious way about the lie here, and is rebelling all the way up to the end, where Joel pushes Ethan to the ground. I think his name's Ethan, to the ground for calling them the D word. And she gets mad at him, and that's clear that there's an issue between them that's very strong.
Well, it's interesting. Like the one thing I disagree with you on, which will be a fun conversation, is that I don't think Ellie's carrying guilt about being immune. I think she's confused. Yeah, I don't think she's carrying guilt about. No. I think she's very confused.
Okay,
because Joel's lie has fucked her up. I think the moment that Joel, when she says at the end of season 1 and then at the beginning of season 2, where they kind of come back to it, and she says, "Do you swear everything you're saying about the Fireflies is true?" She knows in that moment he's lying. 100%. There's no she's been carrying this with her. And the thing is, in season 1, she felt like there was a purpose to her being immune.
Yes,
there was this opportunity. Yeah. And the story that Joel feeds her robs her of that to a degree. But he's like, you're not that special. There's lots of people who are immune, but also let's not ever tell anybody that you're immune. Like, the story doesn't hold water at all. Right. Like, if there was a bunch of people that were immune and the Fireflies were like, it doesn't work, there's no reason not to just tell everybody, hey, this is the deal with Ellie, but there's a lot of people that are like that. We went to see the Fireflies, it's no big deal. The fact that he's like, let's still keep it a secret, like, her issue is 100% that Joel has smothered her.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, from the moment he sort of, and it's tragic and it's sad, but like, Joel is the wrong party here. Like, as much as he loves her, like, absolutely.
Interesting. Okay.
The second that and if you go back and you rewatch season 1, there's a moment where he sort of opens up to Ellie and says, you're the thing that healed me. Like, it wasn't time that healed the wound of losing my daughter. It was meeting you. And the second that he does, when they leave the Firefly compound, like, he's like, oh yeah, and then he's just yapping about his daughter. Oh, she would have loved you because you're funny and this and that. And Ellie is really uncomfortable. And for 5 years now, back in Wyoming, he has been overprotective. He made a decision that was like, I'm going to put Ellie's life above the greater good. Like, if this was like the trolley problem, he chose, like, I'm gonna let everybody else die because I'm gonna protect Ellie because I love her. And that comes from a good place. But because he didn't include Ellie in that decision, I mean, he didn't let her make that choice. He, from this point forward, every choice he's made is to protect her and shield her. So he doesn't want her, I pulled my punch. The first scene is like, I pulled my punches because I didn't want Joel mad at me. Well, Joel said you can't go out on patrol. He wants you to work the wall. Joel's going to beat up this guy who called you a dyke. Like, it just, like, at every turn she goes to, she's like, I'm an adult. I am very capable. I'm a survivor. I can kick ass.
Wait a minute.
And I am not allowed to do this because Joel's doing this. And, like, even though he's doing it from a good place, it's like, it's almost like the lie has eaten away at this relationship. And he does care about her, but he still holds on to this. Like, he says it like 3 times. He's like, I don't know why she's mad at me. I'm a good guy.
Right.
And you're like, you 100% know. You just, like, he won't admit it, which I think is great. Like, again, I'm not saying that I hate Joel as a character.
No. Right.
I think that he is a fascinating and deeply nuanced and flawed character. And Ellie, to your point about her sort of recklessness, is also a fascinating and deeply flawed character. But watching these two try and work their shit out when this lie has come between them for 5 years is fascinating to watch.
I think Tommy would say the same thing. I think Tommy nailed it when he said you're both the same person. And that's the real issue that's going on. So I think they're both at fault. Because remember, you're trying to remove fault from Ellie. Ellie worked that entire season to break down Joel's walls. Ellie did not want to be seen as cargo. Ellie worked that, doing all those pun jokes. That was her trying to endear herself to Joel. So there's a responsibility there. Now you can say a 14-year-old, how much responsibility do they really have? Well, then how much responsibility do they have about making a decision about their lives? An adult might have a bigger picture who's been out in the world versus Ellie, who was shut in a cage for a majority of her life. Joel would know better. So I don't think necessarily that his decision was the wrong decision or a bad decision necessarily, which is a great debate to have. And I don't think he's necessarily the wrong person. Ellie pushing back, all Joel is saying, I don't want you getting punched because, yes, these guys could legitimately knock you the fuck out and legitimately give you brain damage and legitimately give you serious hurt. If these guys, these young men with their own issues, punched you really fucking hard, you might really die or something could happen to you. If you go out on this patrol, you could get killed. I don't want that to happen because you are immune. There may still be a chance to save people with your blood if you don't die. And then the other
no, there's no chance. He told her that's the lie.
Right. No. If he just admits it though, eventually there is a chance. And I think that's why he's trying to save her, because at some point he thinks they can do the surgery without killing her. That's what
Marlene at the end of season 1, when he faces off with Marlene and shoots her in the garage, Marlene says, you don't have the right to make this choice to Joel. And Joel says, you don't have the right to make this choice.
Yes.
And she says, what would Ellie choose? I think you know what she would choose.
That's what
Marlene Joel shoots Marlene. Yeah. And the point here is that basically what we're talking about right here is what he's done for 5 years is what he did in that moment. In that moment, he made a choice for Ellie that was not his choice to make. And for 5 years, he has continued to make choices for Ellie that are not his choices to make. And that's where Ellie's frustration is coming from.
Right. But she's 19. So I think there's, how can I say this? But Shannon, you got to weigh in. We're not going to go back and forth for 30 minutes. I'm sorry. But
Shannon's like just eating popcorn. He's like, yep, that's great. This is great.
I just think
Keep
this
going.
is what makes it,
Keep going.
this is what makes it a great debate, is that I think parents sometimes do know better than teenagers. Parents do. You may hate it. You may really fucking hate it, but it's actually true because they've been out in the world more. They've lived more. They're not always right. But he's coming from a place of care. But you're right. The lie is what's causing Ellie to rebel, to push back, because Ellie loved that she got close to Joel. Ellie loved that Joel was there for her. And remember, Ellie saved Joel and said, I've lost everyone I ever care about.
Yep.
I'm not leaving you to die here because, and that's essentially.
And then go watch the last scene after the Fireflies.
The whole episode or season. Yeah. I hear you, but I don't buy Marlene either because Marlene made it.
Is it my turn yet?
Yes, go ahead.
Nope.
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, John has some more he wants to say.
No. Go.
I love how John said, Shannon, let's get your thoughts. But here, let me finish up.
One more thing real quick.
Real quick. John never pulls the real quick card. That's fair.
Sorry about
not
that.
only is this what makes it a great conversation and a great debate, it's what makes it a great show. Because there is no black and white in this world. I mean, it is shades of gray across the board. I agree with Vogel that Joel should not have been able to make that choice for Ellie. And I agree with John. Ellie is a kid. And despite the fact the world she grew up in, she does not know everything. And if you flash forward, and granted, I haven't played the game, so I don't know how the story pans out. You flash forward 40, 50 years where she has lived a beautiful life. She lived that beautiful life because Joel made a choice. Right. And so... and again, I mean, this whole story could end in tragedy based on the history of the show. That's probably what's going to happen. But no, the dynamic between them in the very short time we have with them in the same room. What do we get? Two scenes, I think. Yeah. They're both fantastic. I know, especially when Pedro Pascal was announced as being Reed Richards, that some people felt they were a little Pedro'd out. When you look at the difference in his characters, when you look at Joel, when you look at the character he plays in Freaky Tales, when you look at the trailer for Fantastic Four, it's like this guy can do a lot. Yeah. He can make these three people completely separate. And I'm thrilled that he's going to be Reed Richards. I can't wait to see what he does because again, even just looking at the two of them side by side, I'm like, these are different guys. So the moment that John referenced when he was about to fess up to Catherine O'Hara, when she asked if he hurt her, there's a moment where it's like, my God, no, I never would have done that. And when he basically says, I saved her, that tear rolling down his cheek, to me, you know, there are things that you can use on set to make you cry. Yeah. My guess is that he didn't use those that day. And over to Bella Ramsey, when you see the moment that she has with Dina, with Isabella
Yeah.
Marcet, with the variety of moments that we see, the depth of talent of these two people, they are able to create full characters who have lived a life. And again, that's something that makes the show just so freaking compelling, is what they bring to it, but also the fact that this is a world of gray.
Yeah, no, you're right. And you know, Joel can fix technical things. He can't fix his relationships. Joel, I mean, Tommy even says, you know, that this is the way Joel, it's better just to go along with Joel. And so clearly there's issues between Tommy and Joel as well. So well, what do you think, Michael, about the Dina and Ellie relationship, as Shannon was referencing?
I think it's great. I mean, I think one of the things, I know John, John is the is our local I wish the secondary characters had more to do person. He brings it up in every show that we watch, but he doesn't bring it up when we talk about The Last of Us, because even in this first episode, every single character, you get exactly who they are, where they're coming from, and they are fully developed. And you believe them from Dina to Jesse to Maria to everybody, to Tommy. Like, you just get what this community is. And so with Dina and that relationship with her and Ellie, like, it's great. Like, not only is it like you get like, I'm always a big fan of like where all the information you have to get in there is, like, what's the exposition. So like, Dina was dating Jesse. They've had a tumultuous relationship. They keep breaking up and getting back together. There's only one other like lesbian who's like Ellie in the town, and Ellie doesn't see Dina that way, but Dina is clearly kind of flirting with Ellie, and like then she gives her the pun, and you just see Ellie light up, because we know from season 1 that Ellie loves puns, and just watching all of that is great. And then when they go into the market and you see how good they are, like, they have a relationship that is where Joel and Ellie got to by the end of season 1. Like, the two of them are just, we're not going to talk. There's the clickers, and we've got it. And even Dina backing Ellie up when she's talking to the council, where Dina was not there. She didn't see what went down, but Ellie's like, here's what happened. Here's what it was. Here's what it does. And Dina's like, yep, I was there. I saw it. It's the same. And Maria can tell right away it's bullshit, but just the way that they have each other's backs, and like, straight up, like, I just met Dina in the beginning of this episode as a viewer, not as a game player, but as a viewer, and when they kiss at the end, I'm sold. Like, I'm 100% in on that. Like, I believe that relationship. So I think, like, to Shannon's point earlier, it's not just the creators. It's not just HBO being good at prestige format. It's not just the writing, it's the acting as well. And so like, it's like these moments are all of those pieces really coming together to make you go, I believe in this.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so essential, because if you're going to make her this 19-year-old who is kind of, exploring the world even more, pushing back against her father figure, so to speak, she's got to have an ally, and having an ally that also she has a crush on. I don't know if any of you have experience with that, being friends with someone you have a crush on. It's a fascinating thing to deal with.
Is that a dig? You digging at me? You digging at me right now?
Why would I? I would never.
You digging at 25 years of friendship right now? What are you doing?
Are you sticking it to me? It feels like you're sticking it to me.
I thought we were talking about Last of Us. Jesus.
No, but I mean, I like that that's an element. And so when it turned how it turned at the end, I was like, that's great, because that's gonna cause Ellie to have to play a hand here. The thing is, Ellie loves to be the rebel, because in some small way, she knows she's immune to all of this. So she can fuck around. She can take chances. What happens when someone, again, in her life that she loves is in danger? What does she do? And that's going to be really compelling. The Joel thing, having the division between Joel creates space for Dina to exist. So it makes sense story-wise to put it in that way. Shannon, what did you think about the introduction of Abby here, Caitlin Dever? This is, a controversial casting. A lot of people felt that it should have been someone who's a bit bigger in terms of size and muscles and what have you. But we see her at the beginning. She has lost her dad. Joel killed her dad, I guess was one of the doctors, maybe the main doctor. And now 5 years later, we see her and her young crew, a lot of good actors in that crew, by the way, including Danny Ramirez, showing up there at the end. And they found Jackson, Wyoming. So what's going to happen? Are they going to pretend to be refugees? Are they just going to attack straight up? So what did you think of the introduction here? Did you like it? Was it effective?
Well, yeah, I thought it was very effective. I think this
Mm.
sets the stage for the season of television that we're about to get. I mean, in terms of like how they're going to approach this town,
Yeah.
my guess there's what, 5 of them. They're probably not going to do a
Yeah.
full on assault. They're going to do something that runs contrary to what Joel has already stated. Is I would love to bring everybody in, but we can't.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I'm guessing that they are going to get in. So Joel is already going to have eyes on them because, like, here's
Right.
some
Good
more
point.
people that we do not have room for. That
Right.
I think those two goals kind of run, sort of counterintuitively to each other. Caitlin Dever's is a tremendous performer.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen Dope Sick on Hulu, I mean,
Oh.
she is absolutely wonderful. And Danny Ramirez, like, I went back and watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, and while not perfect, Danny Ramirez and that I love Dan so much more than Danny Ramirez in Brave New World. And the little glimpse that we get of him in this, I'm like, oh, I think we're getting Falcon and Winter Soldier Danny Ramirez, not Top Gun Maverick, Brave New World Danny Ramirez. But yeah, I mean, they have set the stage for the conflict that is about to come. And in terms of like whether like she doesn't have the muscles to play Abby. I mean,
such a weird complaint. Yeah.
Again, I don't have a connection to the brand outside of the show. So I can understand like, well, this is how I see it, but I think you have to provide space to see what the performer is going to bring to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think, Michael, as an introduction? And do you like what we got? Though it wasn't much. Did you like what we got?
It wasn't much, but it was, I mean, here's the thing. And this is where the whole grayness of the show starts to get really complicated. It's like, yeah, we love Joel. We love Daddy Pedro. He's a beautiful man. He's so sweet. He's so caring. He's so emotional. Those fireflies are justified.
Yeah. Yes. 100%.
Like, he went in and fucking killed everybody and took off in their only car. Like, so, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I know more than Shannon does, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut on how it's all going to go, or at least how I think a lot of it is going to go, to see how much they change things. But I mean, to me, that opening scene is uncomfortable because you want to be like, these are the bad guys that are going to go hunt the hero. And you're like, dude just showed up and just fucking, went Rambo on everybody. So I think it's just going to add to the grayness of this decision that Joel made.
Yeah.
And I think, what's interesting about Last of Us and Last of Us 2, and where some people feel like it's this beautiful story and some people in Last of Us 2 get a little disappointed, is because the grayness of Joel as a character kind of is a big piece of it, and it kind of is uncomfortable. I mean, even like Gail, Catherine O'Hara and her scene with Pedro, which I agree with everything. We always think of Catherine O'Hara as one of the funniest women in the world because she is one of the funniest women in the world. So every once in a while, when she rolls up and says, "Hey, by the way, everybody, I'm fucking great, just serious too," you're like, "Oh shit, I forgot." Like, she came in that scene hot. And when she did that whole bit where she was like, "I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to tell you, oh, I hate you. I hate you for killing my husband." And like, that's another piece that there's this whole piece that her husband, Joel killed her husband. We don't have all the information on it. And this is something that is a little bit different from the game. So we truly have no information on it. But what exactly went down there? And I think that's just another area where we're like, Joel is a great guy who would do anything for Ellie, but maybe that has sent him a little too far in some areas.
I think that's what we're going to discover about Joel. And especially because, having rewatched season 1, as you did, Michael, as well, that scene when he just flips the switch and just goes black and kills everybody, like, that is a scary, scary scene to see that someone like him has that ability to care and love for Ellie as strongly as he does, and also be willing to murder a bunch of people in order to save someone, and murder. That's what he did. They weren't shooting. They weren't like, coming after him and trying to trick him. He went after them and they tried to fight back from what he was doing. And he murdered them all, including a bunch of unarmed doctors and nurses and Marlena down in the parking garage. So he's got to answer for that. And Abby is what's coming to make him answer it. And I think Craig Mazin said it best in that mini doc after the episode. It's like Joel took that trauma and then revisited the trauma of the loss of his daughter on and passed it on to someone else in Abby. And that is fascinating. So it's a question to ask yourself. Is it better to forgive and try to move on, or is enacting vengeance? What is that going to lead to? So I love that. That's a great area to explore here in the show.
And just to make it clear that Marlene doesn't get out of this, back to that to this whole, because this moment in season 1 kind of is like the driving force emotionally of season 2. And Marlene is full of shit a little bit too, because she did not give Ellie the choice. The Fireflies didn't give Ellie a choice either. The Fireflies didn't sit Ellie down and say, look, we think that you're going to be able to like save all of us. Yeah. But to do it, we're going to have to sacrifice. They just put her to sleep and said, okay, she's not going to feel anything. Exactly. So they robbed her of her agency. Joel also robbed her of her agency and then lied to her about it. And so, yes, 5 years later, is she a little bit rebellious? Is she kind of pissed off at the world? Because yes, she feels constantly that her agency was taken from her because it was in the most major way possible. And that even the idea that she could somehow help this problem, which is kind of what she believed about herself in season 1, Joel's lie has taken that away from her. And so I don't know. It's and what I love about this is we have a few minutes left to talk about this episode, and we've barely touched on them attacking the clickers and the stalker and kind of the fact that the cordyceps is growing and that we have like the cordyceps coming through the pipe, which is all like the cool zombie shit. Right. But that's what makes Last of Us to me so great, is that I'm like, yep, that's all cool. We're going to see what happens with those cordyceps tendrils coming into the town. Ooh, that's not going to be good for anybody. But like, that is almost secondary to this like deeply emotional, traumatic story and tragic story in a lot of ways that's being told with these characters.
Yeah. Well, that is what makes action compelling, when you care so deeply about people, and when you've been on this journey with them and then you put them in peril. That's what makes action. That's what gets you on the edge of your seat, is not only am I watching something cool and fun and zomberific, but I actually care what happens to this person.
Zomberific. Okay.
Yeah, no, both of you are 100% right. And that's what makes everybody love the show. And I think also, and this is maybe another reason why, is that, a lot of us think we know what we would do in these moments, and we don't fucking know what we would do in these moments. And we don't know how we would react in those moments. And so it makes it easier for us to judge from afar, but then maybe quietly ask ourselves questions. Would I really sacrifice someone that has essentially have come to see as my child to save the world, or would I not? Right? I mean, there's that great story in the Old Testament of the Bible of, was it Abraham and Isaac? Would I sacrifice Isaac because God told me to, or do I not? I mean, there's the thing. Do I sacrifice?
And he did.
And, well, he tried to, and then God stopped him. Yeah. But would I sacrifice?
God said, just kidding. I hate that story so much.
Psych. But yeah, and the other side of here, where you see in the show, like, would he do it? And how many of you all would actually sacrifice one of your children, even if it was a child you adopted or came to be a father or mother figure for? Would you sacrifice that child to save the world? And so I like that these characters are very complex and gray. We may enjoy judging them, but ask yourself the real questions of what you'd really do, and you may be surprised by the answer, which is a great thing, which marks a great show, in my opinion. You brought up the stuff, Michael, but I think we'll too with all that as it grows, literally and figuratively in the show. Yeah.
The other thing that, when you compare, and again, especially having just rewatched season 1, when you compare Jackson in this first episode to Joel and Tess's life in the QZ at the beginning.
Oh my God.
You just love this. It's beautiful.
Yep.
They've really built this community, and it does get into the issues, as you brought up, where Joel's like, stop letting these people in. We can't build fast enough. And Maria's like, that's what we're here for. Like, we are building a massive community. And like, they really have built this really lovely, wonderful community. Yes, there are secrets and lies and things kind of bubbling below the surface, both literally and figuratively. But like, this is a place, as opposed to the QZ, which you were like, this is oppressive. Like, this is a place that you want to save, you want to make sure is safe. And so right off the gate in season 1, adding this element of the cordyceps in the pipe, and adding a threat, not just to Ellie and not just to Joel and not just to this, but like to the entire community. Like it is very, it's you know, like there's an automatic tension there. Cause like, this is a lovely, lovely town.
Yeah. And if you throw in Seth Seth calling them dykes, you clearly see that the fungus is not only just what's in the town that could be dangerous. There is danger within the town itself with these kind of homophobic and judgmental, and this is a church type of ideas. So whatever your feelings are, that can be a danger to Ellie as well, beyond just the fungus stuff, which is actually not a danger to Ellie as it is to the other people.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, go ahead, Shannon.
Well, and I know we're just about out of time, but talking about that scene specifically, this is what I think it was Mason that said this in the behind the scenes at the end. But when Joel comes in and knocks Seth on his ass, and then you see Ellie basically say, you know, I don't need your fucking help. Mason actually said, like, not only like she humiliates him in front of the town, and this is the one thing, like, I actually disagreed with him. Like, he gives a fuck about what anyone else just witnessed. The fact that he thought he was doing the right thing for Ellie, and to see how she responded to it, that's the thing that bothered him. That's the thing that broke his heart. You see him doing anything he can to try to reconnect with her, whether it's restringing her guitar or or trying to save her from a bigot. At the end of the day, it's just not good enough.
Yeah, because he won't do the thing that he should do, which is to admit what he did and admit that he lied to her. Right, exactly. It's easy to do.
And that's where, like, because Gail is this new character that was introduced. What I love about, I mean, I love Catherine O'Hara, and I can't wait to see what happens with her and like finding more about Eugene. But she really gives voice to that, which doesn't happen in the game, which is she's the one who straight up says, like, oh, you have this boring problem. A 19-year-old doesn't like her father figure. And she's like, you've been lying to me for 5 sessions. Just say the thing. And like, that's like not just important for Joel to hear, but as the audience, like that sums it up, is that, to Shannon's point, like, restring the guitar, knock out Seth, try everything under the sun to reconnect, except the one thing that Gail says in that scene, which is like, just say what you are not saying. What is this thing that you're holding on to? And that would help him in therapy, but it would also, that's the one thing that would ultimately probably heal things with Ellie, but not before it kind of broke things with Ellie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, he wants to do all the easy things, like fixing the breaker, like using violence, like restringing her guitar. The hard thing is telling the truth. And that, until he does that, and it's no coincidence, Michael, that they had a shot of Gail sipping as Joel walked out after he got embarrassed by Ellie at the dance, because it's underlining that thing that he's got to tell the truth. So
doing the Kermit. Nice thing.
All right, well, there you go. That's our spoiler review for The Last of Us, season 2, episode 1. I hope you enjoyed that one. It was written and directed by Craig Mazin, so no surprise, it was a damn good episode there called Future Days. We will, of course, be reviewing it the season as it goes along on our show, so stay tuned for more of our reviews of that. But thank you very much for watching or listening to this episode of the Geek Buddies. What do we have to tell them, Shannon?
Yeah, I'd like to follow us on social media. On Twitter, it's at @geek_buddies. On Instagram, at @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung. On Instagram, at Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is at MKToon. If you'd like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is at The Rocha Says.
Mikey.
Go ahead and smash that like button below. Subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page. Check out all the amazing content he has got over there. Leave your comments below. What are your thoughts on Harry Potter casting? What are your thoughts on Last of Us? What are your thoughts on Catherine O'Hara drinking whiskey? Let us know all of it below in the comments. Go ahead and if you're listening to us on a podcast, leave us some stars and comments so we go up in the rankings and more people can find us. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
There you go. And we'll have more coming up later on this week from us here on the Geek Buddies. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of the
Geek
Buddies. Hey!